Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be building an abandoned boxcar house. So I originally started off making this boxcar a little bit nicer, and then I decided near the end that didn't make any sense. So I turned it into an abandoned boxcar, which is why you see at the top it says Boxcar Living. That was my original title, and then I decided let's make this place like super scary and kind of sketchy. So yeah, that's what I wound up doing. So my inspiration for this came from a book series that I read as a kid called the Boxcar Children, and basically it was about these 4 orphans who were all brothers and sisters, and their parents died, and they were supposed to go live with their grandfather, but they were like scared of him because they'd only ever heard bad things about him. So they run away and they find this abandoned boxcar like in the middle of nowhere, and they set up shop there. Like they just take it over and it's theirs, and the older siblings, like the oldest brother, like goes out and he does like odd jobs for money, and like the younger siblings, like I don't remember what they all do, but they all end up like working, and like they build like this, you know, cute little house out of a boxcar. And then eventually one of the kids gets sick. Like somebody, I think it's like a doctor or somebody who like actually owns the property that the boxcar is on. And so he's aware that these kids are living in the boxcar, and so like when one of the kids gets sick, then he like takes care of them, but he also actually is secretly friends with their grandfather. So he then introduces their grandfather to them, not knowing, like, the grandfather knew who they were, but the kids did not know that he was their grandfather because they'd never met him before, because they'd only ever heard that he was like a mean and terrible person. And so he introduces them as just like, oh, this is my friend, not, oh, this is your grandfather. And so the kids like love him, and then he reveals who he really is, and then he has them move in with him in their house, but he lets them keep their boxcar. And so he like moves it into their yard, and I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. And then of course, like, you know, 145 books later, they like solve mysteries and go on adventures and like all the things that as a kid I really, really enjoyed. Like this idea that like kids don't have to be 100% reliant on adults, and like they can go off and have adventures and solve mysteries and live in a boxcar if they want to. So in any case, that's where my original inspiration for this build comes from. And then I actually originally was going to try to fit 4 beds in here since there were 4 kids in the Boxcar Children books, but there's just no way that was going to happen. So I settled for 2. And I tried to use like the little chain curtain divider things to help separate this out a little bit. So like it's a boxcar, but it is sort of divided up into like sleeping area, living area, kitchen area. So yeah. I also tried to make everything just look like rustic or handmade, or in general like not the greatest. I did give them a fridge and a sink and a counter because I wanted people to be able to like actually cook a meal here, although I do end up putting in a fire pit there. So that's the only stove, is that outdoor fire pit from Outdoor Retreat. So any sim that lives here better really like hot dogs, because that's probably one of the only things they'll be eating for a while. And so I also didn't want there to be like a bathroom or anything, so I put in the bush from Get Together, where you can either use it to nap or to poop in. So that is the only toilet. And then for a shower, I think it's from the Outdoor Retreat game pack, where it's a shower, but it has like, it looks like it's made out of like a tarp. Like, I don't think I've ever actually used that item, but so, and I sort of stick it around back, like behind where the kitchen sink would be, because in my mind I was like, okay, if they're gonna hook up the plumbing, they would do it where it's close to each other. So that made a lot of sense to me. Plus, with this particular lot that I'm building on, there's like a little stream like directly behind the house, so that makes sense to me. Like in my mind, like, okay, somebody like put together some really primitive plumbing that pulls water from the stream somehow. I don't know. Use your imagination. It made sense to me. And then to make the wheels, I used those pool lights that are like, they're meant to go like on pool balls, but a lot of times people use them for other things. So I used them for the wheels. I really struggled with finding something that would work for the wheels, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not 100% happy with how the lights turned out. Like, they look nice, and you know, they're round like a wheel, but I don't like that they glow. So, like in my own gameplay, I would have it set so that the lights are turned off on the outside part, because that just looks strange to me to have a boxcar with glowing light wheels. But I couldn't really come up with anything else to use as wheels. Like, I thought about, there's those logs that you can use to like decorate like more Spanish style homes, but they stuck out really far from the side, and when you scale them up to be the correct size, like, their poly count is pretty low, so like they're not as rounded looking as those lights are, so I just stuck with the lights. And so inside of the boxcar, because obviously a boxcar wouldn't really have electricity, don't ask me how the refrigerator runs, but it wouldn't have electricity, so instead of putting in any lights, the only lights that I used were candles, which I've wanted to do this in a build for a long time. Like, I've wanted to build like a rustic cabin where it's like more living off the land style. I don't know, ever since that was one of the object or the themes for that community stuff pack project, I've really, like, I can't get that idea out of my head of doing something that's like, you know, kind of more primitive living, like with like an outhouse, and like there's no electricity, and so you have to use candles for everything. So I sort of did that here. And then I also put in like graffiti, because most boxcars in reality have graffiti on the outside of them. Although, again, I wish we had the graffiti from The Sims 3, because this graffiti to me looks it's a little too nice. Like, it's more street art than it is actual graffiti. But, I mean, it looks really nice, you know, you get the point. You get that it's supposed to be like, oh, this is a boxcar with like spray painted on the sides and stuff, but it's a little too professional looking. So, and then I just put in a whole bunch of like the old dead trees and stuff from the Vampires game pack, just to make this place, I kind of wanted to make it seem like you couldn't easily see the boxcar from the road, like it was a little bit hidden maybe. So that's why I put in like the big pine trees, evergreen trees, whatever those trees are. And of course, lots of like funky looking dead plants or half dead plants and shrubs. And yeah, I tried to make it seem like this place hasn't been inhabited in a while. And even if there is somebody actually living here, they're not necessarily like welcome to visitors. I'm pretty sure, now that I'm thinking about it, I did give this build lot traits, and because I don't always do that, I try to, but in all honesty, sometimes I forget about the lot traits. I don't remember what I did though. Well, anyways, that will show up in the download. If you want this lot in your game, you can get it from the gallery, and I'll have a link for that in the description box below the video. Or you can just search for my origin ID, which is Mrs. Tomato 1018, same as my YouTube name. And yeah, and that would also tell you then if I remember to put lot traits on this lot, because I can't remember now. I meant to, if that helps. So yeah, so then I'm just decorating this place, trying to make it look, you know, as rustic as possible. Like, you know, the only music that they have is like, they have the guitar and the violin that you can make from crafting on the handiness woodworking table thing. So like, you know, no radio, obviously, no TV, definitely no computer. But there's some books, and there's a chess table, which again, I think the chess tables all look a little too nice, but you know, work with what we have. And then, one quick thing is I realized when I went in to take screenshots with a sim in this house, is that orange curtain, you have to move it just ever so slightly for the sim to be able to get into the bed. So yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why these objects have like such a huge footprint that like I'm looking at that, and in my mind, obviously a sim could fit between the green partition and the orange curtain. Like, that's a pretty big gap there, but the game just won't route between those two objects. So if you move the green or the orange curtain just a little bit, it'll work. So yeah, so this is the finished build. You know, kind of took a little bit of a turn there because I didn't really intend for it to be quite so creepy looking at first, but I'm really pleased with how it turned out in the end. So yeah, again, if you want to have this lot in your game, you can find it on the gallery, or you could just search for my username, as I said before. I did add in the clown painting and the tarp after I finished recording, just to make this place even a little bit creepier than it already was, because really there's no such thing as too creepy when it comes to abandoned houses. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate it, and if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. And that's all for me. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.